What up, guys? Welcome to Base Damage. And this week on the podcast number 61, we got Kool-Aid here. And in order of who joined the Skype call first, we got Kevin.
Hey.
What's up?
SideForZero.
SideForZero. Yeah, I couldn't think of your channel name at all. And I'm like, come on, I know I got this. And
That's
I couldn't think of it. And I remember Cam's is ContainsAnime.
Hello, Internet.
Hello, Internet. And Waifu Wars.
So this is the straight version of Beanley.
Oh, God. I didn't think...
just kidding!
I was going to say the Internet just exploded. I'm surprised my computer didn't spontaneously combust. I'm just kidding. No, hey, dude. Thank y'all for joining this week, which was an interesting topic that basically got brought up. You said you and Kevin had talked to Kyle about it while he was down there in Florida or something, or was it? Yeah. Talking about basically trying to get people into, or trying to attract people to locals, whatnot. I've seen that before.
Enrique was talking about Enrique.
Enrique,
Kyle.
not Kevin. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was too busy staring at something else, but.
Gotcha. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Anywho, but we'll get into that in a second. A couple other things have been coming out recently and announced and whatnot. Sadly, one of those is not Kyle out of the closet, but that's whatever.
Someday.
I know, someday, just for you, Bentley. JP just got the Hina Logic EB. Which I'll probably take a look at some point in a future podcast, just because it's an EB. It'll be short.
Don't tell Jimmy.
Don't tell Jimmy.
Don't tell Jimmy.
Shit, I'll have to edit that part out. Gurren Lagann spoilers have come up, and I know Cam's excited for that in the Bang Dream part of the day sneak previews.
Of course.
No, for real. I want to see I finally picked up all the stuff for the Glitter Green deck, and I'm hoping that they give more stuff for that in a future set. I don't know, but it'd be cool.
I'm afraid Glitter Green isn't actually in the mobile game, so
no.
Rip
so
you.
Sad. I know, right? No. Hell, that deck's fun as shit. I don't care. Let's see what else. I think the last big confirmation thing was we are definitely supposedly getting Persona 5 in February of 2018. So here's hoping that's not just their date of saying, hey, we're going to tell you you're not getting it again.
I wouldn't be too surprised. I mean, I'm sure it'll come out. It's only been delayed, 8 months now? I'm sure they got their ducks in a row.
Yeah, since June? Something like that?
June, I believe, yeah.
Yeah, June.
Here's hoping, because... damn, they're getting into Abyssals. They're past Abyssals territory now, as far as that's concerned. I think
it's gonna come out and not be relevant anymore.
That was their plan all along. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the issue was for that. So, but I'm not gonna get into that because last time I tried to figure out what maybe it might have been for Abyssals, people got pissed. I straight got people cussing me out on comments, and I'm just
the internet was mad at you, dude. That's wild.
That
never happened.
Who would have never thought that before? What the fuck? It's not like anyone else has ever done anything that's pissed people off, right? It's man, just total shocker for me. Now, what else? Oh yeah, we were talking about Bushiroad had put up the details. It was a while back, but we're just now getting around to discussing it.
It's a month ago.
Yeah, this was it was a month ago. We're talking about how they're going to be changing up the Springfest for 2018. And for the most part, what I'm seeing, I'm looking right at their site right now, and for the most part, it looks like they're going to be mostly doing Team League format, which is going to be interesting to a degree.
Well, the way I understand it is the spring circuit is going to be a 3v3 team tournament, and then with no invites to Worlds on the line for the spring circuit. And then in the fall, it will be back to the normal single person tournament, and those will be the tournaments that get the invites to Worlds.
See, that's so weird. Did they just get too many people invited this year or something? Like,
yeah, I mean, a lot of people speculate that maybe giving out so many invites was hurting their bottom line because there's a lot of people to be flying out. I mean, like,
yeah,
they're not a huge company. That is a lot of money. And I mean, like, everybody is like sort of upset, and I understand that, but it's also, you know, you have to realize that last year was the first year that we had an actual, you know, 2-season Worlds qualifying tournament circuit. Every year after or before that, Springfest has been, you know, sort of a goofy casual thing. So I guess they're just going back towards that.
Yeah, so originally it's always only been fall for like the more serious, like for English Weiss, and then like they gave out more invites to go to like nationals because for English nationals. Yeah. So like if the first and second, I don't know if third got it to go to nationals, but there's definitely more invites to go to nationals, and like whoever won nationals then got to go to Worlds for Japan,
right,
to represent English. So
yeah, because most people think like, oh well, you know, there's only been X amount of regionals, but it's not just for Weiss. They're doing this for Vanguard and Buddy Fight, if I'm not mistaken. So
yeah, I'm not sure. Do they fly out first place for those games as well? I would assume so. I've never looked into it.
Same. That's why I don't know.
Yeah,
I know one of the other
believe
people.
So.
Yeah, I think one of the other guys in the group I can ask. So I mean, if you think about it that way, that means three people from like every single regionals that's gone on at that point. That is a lot of people and can add up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think in general it'll be fine. I think it sort of made the competitive community a little bit upset, but I think in general having like diverse formats is important for, I think, keeping the game fresh, especially English being the meta that it is now. I don't even know if I would want to play 2 seasons of English solos. And I think 3v3 is a good format to help bring people into the game. Not to mention, like, the fall circuit being the only way to get Worlds qualifications means that they mean more. You know, the people who qualify in the fall will be, you know, fewer than they were this year. So, you know, obviously that invitation will mean more.
Yeah. Looks like we're having technical difficulties. It seems like Kevin's got disconnected for a second there. If we add him back in a bit, we'll let you know.
Rip.
Yeah, I rip. Press F to pay respects. Yeah. Also, base damage now also featuring Bingley's family members or something. I don't know. No. I heard something, but I couldn't tell what they were saying at all. So
guest appearance.
Yeah, so it's all good, dude.
It's the white guy that's like trapped underneath my bed.
Oh, that's what I thought. Okay. I thought it was like some screams mixed in with that as well. That makes sense. Okay. No, no, for real though. Yeah, that does make sense, and yeah, man, it'll be interesting. I mean, I would definitely like to try the whole 3v3 thing as well.
Yeah, I'm super excited about it. I think it's going to be a good time. Especially since, like, in case we didn't mention, obviously the World's qualifications aren't on the line, but there's also, like, basically no prize support since it's a Weiss event.
Yeah.
So, you know, it incentivizes people to not take it as seriously and have it be, you know, more of a fun, friendly environment. So I think that's exciting for newer players and for, you know, those of us competitive players who need a change of pace.
Understandable. At the same time, also, they have another game. They basically have, like, nixed Luck and Logic completely. So they got Dragonborn up here as an individual tournament for the Springfest. So
they sure do.
I guess they're trying to, like... It doesn't look bad. I actually picked up one of the starter decks or whatever while we were in Atlanta just to see what it looked like, and it doesn't look bad. It's an interesting setup. I'll give it that.
I have played Dragonborn. I'm sort of on the fence about it. I think our store doesn't carry Dragonborn. If they did, I would, you know, use my not real money to maybe pick up product and try it out. I don't really want to spend actual money on it.
Yeah.
It seems fine. It's I don't really see the appeal personally. It's like they sort of are trying to copy Magic the Gathering, but adding in patented Bushiroad RNG and making all of everything you do based on dice rolls. So
yeah,
it's certainly strange.
That one Star Wars game that's like you use a dice too. That was picking up in popularity. By the way, Dragon 1 is like competitive Yahtzee.
Yeah, more or less. So it's probably pretty apt. I'm sure there's lots of Drago-born players listening to the podcast that are very upset. But all 6 of them.
My position is neutral on it, but I do like. Okay, is it actually supposed to be Drago or is it an N in there?
It is Drago-born. I have. In case I never told you guys, I have the promotional standee of the the like anime hair guy from Dragonborn in my room, like 5 feet from me. Oh, so I can confirm it is Dragonborn.
Okay. Like for a bit, I thought they were like trying to rip off Skyrim for a bit.
It's pretty close.
Yeah.
But Japan doesn't give a shit about copyright.
Fuck no. That's Yeah, that's a whole different discussion for a different day. But for anyone interested in that's I don't know, that might end up being a thing.
Tune into the world's #1 Dragonborn podcast, Base Damage.
I know, right? World's best and only at this point. Nah, for real though.
Untapped market,
Yeah. Looks like Kevin's still out for right now, but if he messages me or whatever, we'll get him back in. So for right now, between just us, was there any other big announcements up as far as, if I'm forgetting anything? I know we've been talking about this for a bit.
I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Yeah.
I defer to Beanley.
I think, like, to conclude about the 3v3, I think it is a good way to, for new players, especially, if they want to, kind of, put their toes into, the tourney scene of Weiss, then it's a good start.
I did see one of the jokes going around of, oh, well, if it's Weiss Schwarz and it's a bunch of weebs in there, they don't make friends anyway. They can't form teams. Bushiroad's just trying to kill them off that way. And I'm like, what? So, it's just a complete and total joke, but at the same time, it was really weird. I'm like, nah, when it comes to waifus, people will band together.
I think.
Hey, Kevin's back.
Hey, here we go.
Hey,
I think also they should find a way to incentivize more reasons for experienced players if they do want to do the 3v3 though. Besides just promos, they should add something more.
Yeah, I agree. I wish I knew what that was, because, it's hard, especially for the 3v3 tournament. You can't, say, oh, they should charge an entry fee, which is, I feel that way about solos. I think, they should just have an entry fee and have actual prize support, but that's a whole different discussion. But, I agree. I wish there was more of an incentive for us competitive players to, try to do well. But, I also understand that if there was, then that would hurt the casual people trying to play because everyone else would be, playing the AOT, SAO, TLR teams and trying to, spike the tournament.
It's your predictions here first. Brought to you by ContainsAnime.
Yeah, I mean, we shouldn't get too deep into it, but people were, as soon as it came out, they're like, oh man, every team is going to be the best 3 decks in the format, and it's that is just a very unrealistic expectation to think that every 3 people that could possibly play together will all conveniently have one of the top 3 decks.
Well, I didn't hear Love Live anywhere in there, so no, I'm just no.
Yeah, you can make an argument.
There you go.
Angel beats, Harvey.
Oh god.
Did you guys talk about the shop challenge stuff?
Oh no, we didn't.
Oh, this is a good point.
So I think they're gonna be singles.
Yeah, shop challenges for both seasons are going to be singles. I don't even really understand why the shop challenges exist for the spring season. So I guess the winner of the spring season shop challenge, and actually it might be fall as well. Did they get rid of buy cards completely? Is that what's happening?
I do not see anything up there. I'm looking at it right now. They do not even. They got an introduction thing posted up. They got, let's see, format and regulations. Let me see if I can find this.
Well, what I had seen for the shop challenge is that whoever wins gets a voucher, and that voucher gets you some sort of promotional item at a regional for that season. And I believe they did away with buy cards completely, so even the fall season, like, all you're going to get is some promos. So, like, I guess it's just another locals that just happens to be partially sponsored by Bushiroad, which I think is odd. I know the community was really upset about buy cards, but I think the only reason people were upset is because they really know how to run a tournament, and people thought the buy cards were quote unquote like bad for your breakers, even though that's not how math works.
Yeah, I just found the price. I just found the price section. All participants get an English edition hot stamped PR card of the game played. Yeah,
so it's essentially just what they gave to us for the other circuits.
And then top 3, a coupon which you may exchange at any regional for the
something.
Hot stamped version of, basically like an additional copy of whatever the...
Is that what it is? That's so bad.
It specifically says for a hot stamped version of the shop challenge PR card.
So maybe the shop challenge card isn't hot stamped, and the only ones that are hot stamped are the winners?
It states it. It states that they're getting a stamped PR in for all participants are getting it anyway. It seems a coupon's just giving you an additional prizes may be added, but that's like up to the discretion of the shop if it's a big event they're organizing. That's whatever.
What a mess.
So... More rants for a different day, but
moving on.
Yeah, I completely forgot about the shop challenge thing, though. Thank you very much for that, Kevin, because I completely forgot about that. So that's going to be something done up completely different. They apparently did not like the whole issues with the buy cards, apparently. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Anywho,
I don't know. I feel like every time I'm on the show, I'm just I'm complaining about Bushiroad. I do like this game, by the way, guys. I played a lot.
No, you're fine. That's essentially what we almost do every single podcast anyway, because it's like, what are these effects? What are these rulings?
Oh, they're translated wrong. Oh,
exactly. Golly.
So speaking of getting people into the game, am I right?
Hey, that's the truth. That's the initial topic of this was, hey, locals seem to be dying down and, for certain shops or whatever, we need to try to get people more into it, which does bring in the thing of how do we get more people to want to play Weiss? There was a podcast we did, it was like early on. I want to say it was like in the teens maybe. What
are we on now?
This is 61. Yeah. Back in like the teens, I think we discussed it like briefly on something like, hey, it'd be interesting to talk about that. Hey, there's some ways we could do this, but it really comes down to like how you normally would try to get a person into like most card games or whatever. Like I know I got into MTG when I got into college, so like half a century ago. No, I say half a century, but it's actually like almost a decade, actually, now that I think about it. So it's like 2008, 2009. Yeah. I was telling that to Kevin earlier. I'm like, I'm 27 this year. What the fuck?
Wild.
I don't know.
Beanley's just turning 16 this year.
I know. That's what I was like, man, just comparatively, it's like, what the... Nah, anyway. Sorry, Billy. But no, like... And then, those are, like, all been around for a bit. So just more often than not, it's what other people are playing. But when people ask me, hey, what is Weiss Schwarz? Like, one of my buddies is a guy named Trey. He was like, hey, what is Weiss Schwarz about? And you can tell them, like, the goals of the game and whatnot, but for the most part, people just are like, well, it's, you play as your favorite anime. Or you play as, not even anime, there's sometimes they're based off video games. I think Contai had didn't have the anime, like, initially when the set came out. I can't remember.
Yeah, it was just the website.
Yeah. Or so, but then when I explained that, like, without the dude having never visited your YouTube channel before at all, Bentley, he's like, oh, so it's like you're having wars with your waifus. Like,
yeah.
Funny you should mention that, and I did mention your channel and I was like, bro, I'll send you the link later, and but yeah, so it's as far as what other ways would y'all try to get someone into it, into Weiss Schwarz in general?
Honestly, like,
It was
if
difficult.
if you like a person, like, if it's like a good friend that you know, then like,
Mhm.
if you have like leftover like trial deck or whatever, like even just buying them a trial deck, like people like free shit all the time, so
Oh, absolutely.
just being able for them to like try out something and like without like their expenses, like I think that's a good way to get people into the game. I mean, they also had like for English they had that Milky Homes thing like demo where let's show people how to play a game and like not put any level 3s that is really important in the game as well.
Yeah, as far as like, because some people obviously if they wanted to try it out wouldn't want to spend too terribly much, and that's completely and totally fair. Like I know I have like 2 feet away from me a box that has just extras of all the different sets I've ever played, so it's not like, you know, there aren't extra cards to go around for a lot of stuff. Maybe not, you know, I don't have like extra playset of Yami sitting around anywhere by any means of the imagination, but Cam's like, I'm gonna be watching for that playset, bro.
Especially with like the newer TD pluses, they like are informative for new players as well. I guess another way to get new people into Weiss is I think, well, just like trying like making them like watch, I guess, and because like when I see like people in general like at the card shop and they like watch like my friends and I play Weiss, it's like totally different for them, and like I feel the same way when I like first saw Weiss, like the way like just the layout of the field is like so unique, and like how like a lot of like card artwork just pops out as well. And like how the movement, like the actions, like what a player takes.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think Weiss as a game has it has a lot going for it at the personal level compared to other things. Like Beanley said, I think the game it plays. I mean, I guess not if you compare it to other Bushiroad games, but this is, you know, we're assuming most people you're getting into the game have not played Vanguard or whatever. I think Weiss is, you know, pretty different from most other card games, so it has that going for it that, you know, it's a new experience, and also of course, like, since it's an anime card game where you play, you know, for the most part, I'm sure most of you, or at least I know I did, you know, the first couple of decks that I made in Weiss were not based on power level, they were based on, you know, what anime I like or whatever. So, you know, obviously you have that in. If you have a friend that, you know, watches anime or whatever, you can be like, hey, you know, if their favorite anime or one of the animes they like is in the game, you know, hey, you should check out this game and come play with me. I think at the personal level, it's probably easier to get people into Weiss than other things like, you know, Magic the Gathering or whatever, which are not only like there's less common ground, you know, you can't be like, oh, this is your favorite character or whatever, but also like obviously Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh are much more complicated games, you know, from the outset. I think where the game falls apart is at the local level. I think it's a lot harder to get people to come out to local tournaments for a game like Weiss rather than, you know, a more established TCG like Yu-Gi-Oh or Pokemon or Magic.
Now, this is not also against anybody with their Chandra or Jace Planeswalkers / waifus, husbandos. Like, you know, if you know, play your favorite Planeswalkers you want, whatever you want to do there.
I'm sure Beanley's super into Jace.
I'm actually really into Garrick.
I was actually about to say that jokingly.
Sure.
He's wild.
I think another thing I want to add on is that like Weiss as a game is inherently like still niche and stuff. Like it's still relatively small, and like it also gets like, especially in my community at least, it gets overshadowed by other TCGs like Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh or like Pokemon. It's like when people are just like so heavily invested into other card games as well, or they don't feel like they don't want to put, they're not sure if they want to put any like monetary value into like another card game.
Yeah.
Or like, so yeah.
Funny story about that, which obviously this past weekend was the Black Friday, after Thanksgiving, Black Friday sales and whatnot going on over the weekend. And our locals had obviously like a discounts and whatnot, various sales going on over the weekend, and we checked out their sales paper that they had posted up, and it was like, there's no Weiss stuff up here. There's MTG, there's Force, there's Yu-Gi-Oh, but there's no Weiss. And for the past month and a half, the only group showing up on Sundays is the Weiss group. Like, there's a little D&D group that shows up sometimes on Sundays, but for the most part, we haven't had MTG for the last month and a half at our locals at all. And it's like, why no love? Come on.
Yeah, it's really interesting because our local game store did literally the exact same thing. They had a huge Black Friday sale, and we do sell Weiss product at both of the locations. But there was, no sort of sale for that. It was just Magic and Pokemon and all that. So I think, leaving it up to the store to do that sort of thing is a whole different thing. Like, I wish our store or your store or any other store would promote the game the way that we want it to be promoted, but that's not something that we necessarily can change,
Yeah. And not to single out Weiss, but they didn't do any Bushiroad stuff. Like, did they do any, like, Vanguard or whatever for y'all's?
We don't do any other Bushiroad games other than Weiss.
Okay.
So.
I thought for, like, the Bushiroad, like, as far as, like, the stores that Bushiroad allows to sell their stuff, I thought they had to get a little bit of each product. I may have been mistaken on that.
I'm not personally sure how distributors work. I assume getting things directly from Bushy, that's probably the case, but I assume that we use a third-party distributor. But obviously, I don't work at the store, so I have no idea.
I think it just varies on the store.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So yeah, that like you said, it may differ for that, but yeah, not to like single out Weiss for that, but like as far as that, we didn't have for any Bushiroad stuff. So yeah. Which,
I mean, it's hard. Like to be a store in that position, I understand.
Yeah.
Like the reason why you can afford to have Magic the Gathering sales is because you sell enough Magic the Gathering product that when you order it, you're ordering it in bulk, and that means since you're ordering more product, you're getting a better deal. So, like, obviously, then you can pass that on to the consumer. But, like, I know for a fact, not to get into the nitty-gritty or expose, what my game store buys things for, but the product they get, they buy, almost at retail. So.
Which... Like, I'm not trying to fault the stores for it either. I understand where you're coming from. I'm not trying to fault the stores too terribly on this, but I feel that would also help people to want to get into Weiss. If they do go to
I think it would be tremendous, yeah.
Like 100%. If they went to this Black Friday weekend sale thing and said, oh, look, all this stuff is on discount, I'm going to go for the stuff that's on that. And, or I may be interested in, like, going back to MTG, not faulting it, but stating... Like, they had a dual deck thing on sale for like $10. So that's like, over like 100 cards plus some extras and whatnot in the thing for very, very cheap. And that's real easy to get into, as opposed to a single 50 card trial deck for Weiss still going anywhere from 16 to, if it's trial deck plus, $20 to $25.
Yeah.
So it's like, what are they going to go for? Obviously, or if Yu-Gi-Oh stuff is on sale, or, whatever the card game is. So, I'm not trying to fault the stores, but I do feel that having sales like that would be able to pull more people in, but it's just not something that usually happens.
It would be great, yeah. I mean, there's very few places that have the ability to do that. Like, I'm sure, like, Hammer Girl Anime in New York, who runs our national circuit. I'm sure they had sales all weekend, because they are one of our largest Weiss distributors in the U.S. So, like, I wish every store could be like that, but I think, unfortunately, just due to the niche nature of Weiss, that getting people into the shop, unlike something like Magic or whatever, like I never found myself when I was actively playing Magic the Gathering doing too much like promoting for my own store. The store would do that because that's their Magic community, was how they made money off events. But whereas Weiss, I feel like it's almost entirely up to the player base. And I think obviously that's probably one of the easiest, or not easiest, one of the best avenues to get people to come to your locals. And if I'm talking too much, you guys can just mute my my channel. But I think advertising for your play group is very, very important. I know, at least at our shop, as an example, We have, the infamous Pay 3 for Hanyo, who records our finals every week, and all of his videos are, X versus X at Battlegrounds, Norton, Massachusetts. If you guys are in the Massachusetts area, Battlegrounds, Norton, Massachusetts. Where, he promotes us. We've just recently started, we're going to be streaming our locals, which is another great way to get the name of the shop out there, and then being active in the places where the Weiss community is active. So, mostly on Facebook, if you can wade through the toxicity of, the larger groups.
Understatement of the century right there.
And also, there's a Weiss Players of New England, which obviously is where we are. There's a group for that. And, so I think it's really important for the players themselves to be putting themselves out there and trying to promote not only the game, but also, wherever your local shop is. And I would assume, obviously we don't have any direct evidence for this, but I would assume that all of, the stuff that we do at my shop is why we have the turnout that we do. We usually get 16 to 18 people on an average day. And then for our bigger tournaments, we're somewhere, 22 to 24-ish. So I think that's a lot of the reason why. Do you guys do that sort of stuff for your locals?
The biggest thing we had as far as any sort of promotional thing, or whether it be for challenges, for the shop challenges or whatever, our shop challenge didn't do much for the fall. In spring, for the shop challenge, they actually did store credit for
do you guys not I'm sorry, I'm coming from a vacuum. Do you guys not normally do paid entry or any of that?
No. Well, most of our entry is you buy a pack, any one Weiss pack, and you're entered in for the normal locals tournament, which was still the case. Was still the case for this, but at the same time, we did a store credit thing, to which is why I was able to get a whole bunch of other cards. That's whatever. For the spring shop challenge we had this past year, I was able to. We ended up only having a certain amount of people, but they did promote and advertise hey, for X amount that we get, we're going to put towards this much percentage of what all the entry was as store credit. So they tried, but it just did not seem to grasp people. We got 2 people from out of town, and that was it, other than our local player base. So it's
I think especially trying to get people into the game, having a paid entry sort of helps and hurts. Helps, for people trying to get into the game who want to take it seriously, and, having prize support is great for people who are planning on winning. But, people that just show up with a TD or whatever, I know when we moved over to having, now all of our tournaments are paid entry for store credit. But at one point it was an optional buy-in. And I know when we moved over to, the permanent thing, this was a concern that, people coming in with, a TD and I just want to play the game, would be sort of turned off by having to, pay any amount of money to just play the game when they, feel like they're probably not going to win a match all night, because it's the first time they've ever played the game. So I think it helps and hurts. It goes either way.
In my area, I've been to for the Weiss team, there's been so many card shops we've been to, but the most effective that have worked for us, but it won't always apply to other areas because it depends just on the card shop. But is pack payout. So for each win, you get a booster pack or whatever. So even if you did really bad that day, you went 1-3 or whatever, you you still get something out from it.
Yeah, that's what they ended up doing for Yu-Gi-Oh. After your first win, every win after that gave you a pack, essentially. So as long as you won at least 2 games, depending on how many people it was, you still got a pack out of it.
I think that's a fantastic way to do it, honestly.
That was still kind of cool. Start going back to regionals as far as this. I'm so used to having to pay entry for regionals. For the Atlanta regionals, the fact that I didn't have to pay any entry surprised the hell out of me. I'm so used to having to drop
I was
for Yu-Gi-Oh $20 or something like that, and I'm just okay, cool, I get packs or whatever for it, whatever. But no, that's what I was so used to, and they're just nope, here's your badge, here's your little thing, your promos, and I'm What?
Yeah, the first regional that we went out to was I've only been playing competitively for a short while, so it was not this spring season, but last spring season, I think. Or I don't know what math is, so. But I remember I had like budgeted some money. I was like, oh, I have to like pay entry or whatever, because like I said, I'm coming from playing Magic, where you go to a GP and it's like a $60 entry or whatever. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll budget some money so that I can pay for entry. And then we got there and I was like, so how much is entry, by the way? And they were like, oh, it's free. And I was like actually blown away.
What? Just explosion right there.
But I'm sure that's partially part of the reason why we get the turnout for regionals that we do, is because people don't have to pay any money.
Yeah.
And that's also why your first 3 rounds are basically buys.
Yeah. Which, at the same time, I can understand where they could change up the regionals off of not like making enough because nobody's actually paying for entry or whatever. But
sure, yeah.
Also, I said I was going to give a shout out, and I hadn't just yet. Shout outs to Enrique. What's up, bro? Anyway, okay, back to this thing. I told him I would. I was like, hey, we'll give you a shout out on the thing, fam.
But on the regard of like pack payout, like for example, Orlando is one of the locals that I've been to, where it's 2 hours away, but like the Y scene is huge enough where like they can sustain that. Whereas I tried it before in my smaller locals, and like it's really hard on the store itself. Like if you just like keep on like giving each pack for a win and stuff. So it just depends on like the overall like scene.
This is fair too, because like going back to the Yu-Gi-Oh thing, the Yu-Gi-Oh packs are much cheaper than Weiss packs at our store, so that's understandable.
And then it's also that issue where like I've noticed, like, which I don't blame people for doing it, but like if someone notices like, oh, someone pulled the foil from that booster pack or the booster box, and like there's no reason to buy the rest of those packs.
We've done that before. We've
basically every box at our store. We have a bunch of boxes sitting on the shelf that are half full because we know there's not foils in them anymore.
Yeah. So predictability on that's another story altogether, but
you can't really do anything about it though. Like if our store like cracked 2 boxes and like mixed them together, I would never buy product from our store, So like, I understand why it's like that. You can't, it would fuck the player base if you, disregarded the set ratios that Bushiroad gives you.
Exactly. Like, I can understand it's a pain at that point, but at the same time, that's where I hope like Bushiroad would like try to change up some stuff for that. I don't know.
I think the new pack layout. Assuming it comes to English, which I assume it will, I think it's probably better for this sort of thing, just because based on the way that the new packs are set up, it's worse for people who buy more product, but it's better for people who buy fewer boxes. So single packs or whatever go up in value more than they used to, which I think is good for pack prizes and getting people into the game, and people just buying booster packs for fun and all that. So
also realize we've mostly just been preaching it this whole time, so we're trying to keep you in on this as well, Kevin. Did you have anything you wanted to, not to put you on the spotlight or anything, but was there anything else you wanted to add as far as like one of the things I know that got me into Weiss was when basically the person who introduced it to me said, yeah, we don't have a ban list.
Right.
Like, so I'm like, what? I was come from Yu-Gi-Oh at that point where it's just like the ban list was your greatest fear. So, I mean, or anything like that, or what other things would you say to try to, or I'll think of this stuff myself, as far as what will we try to say to get people to want to play? Like, as far as like, say, you should try this game out because whatever reason. So,
for what my locals do, they used to do learn to plays. That's made like so many TCGs. We had like Final Fantasy, Dragonborn, all the Bushiroad games, Dragon Ball Z Super. It was like, the thing is like we don't hold those events too often because it's like tough to schedule.
Yeah, and
like some of the player base might not be available to have all of those things at once. Usually, but those things really do work. Especially when you're in cons. If you're like an affiliated with an anime store that's like that has the resources to go to cons. That's a really good thing. That's like about half of my player base came from that. Really, for the most part, location is arbitrary. I mean, like, if you're in a college town, then like you have the chance, you have the actual chance to get like new people because it's the territory. But other things, the way that Bushiroads are doing their shop challenges, and like sponsored like stuff that they give to stores to do big tournaments, it's pretty much helping from out of state. Like we have connections from like a radius of about 100 or about 100 miles. It's pretty good what they're trying to do, and then for the most part, even if you just factor in hospitality and like, as you guys been talking about, like having new people watch your games and whatever, people that just go in the store. I think it's it's just consistency is it's a challenge.
Understandable. I remember something else when I mentioned the thing about the Yu-Gi-Oh! One of the things we used to do for Yu-Gi-Oh! Was like win-a-box tournaments. Do you think that would be something people would be interested in? Like, I'd like to try to organize something for that for our locals and try to get... It had to be a box that people would all be interested in. I realize for Yu-Gi-Oh! Where it's more just everything and everything, it's easier to do. For Weiss, with being specific sets, unless it's like Shioko can be splashed into everything for English at this point, as far as like the Shioko promos.
Yeah,
that's it. As far as multi-series, but
honestly,
that's a big hurdle that Weiss has. I think is the fact that nobody plays the same series. Like I don't know if you guys experience this, but trading like basically does not exist in Weiss.
You're absolutely correct. It's an aggravation and a half for. Oftentimes I'll find the people who are like, hey, what set you trying to pick up? And they're like, oh, I'm looking for this. And over the course of like a week or something like that, I'll try to grab that for entry. I'll try to just grab a couple extra packs on the side. Like, hey, need any of this? And that's it. But that's what happens for so much.
Yeah, I mean, it's like... Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Beanie.
Sorry. From my local experience, like, we did do win-a-box, and I think that generated, like, a lot of, like, players to, like, compete for it. I think to solve the issue of, like, it was we had AOT, Cinderella Girls, and then Contai, I think.
Well, they got to pick, or was it like that many?
Love Live. Wait, what?
They got to pick the box, or was it that like all those were in the pool?
Oh, it was just like when they were released at the time. Like
I thought you meant all at one time in one tournament. I was like, say, do
what? No. I feel like
I'm sorry.
Like to maybe incentivize like, I guess players like to like pick sets that are like. Obviously like good money sets. I feel like for example Cinderella Girls, like for English, like you get value from just one box, and a lot of the prices are still like decent, or like they retain their value from that set. Or like Contai base set 1 still has like really good cards.
Hell yeah. That was one of the jokes that was going around for ours, where like I said, we bought a pack for entry. We'd have people like, oh, what pack should I get this week? And people would go, oh, you should play the lottery and pick Idolmaster in case you get that like $300 SP at the time. So, jokingly stuff like that, but that's whatever. So those are like those sets, like you said, would be really good for that. And I don't know, maybe do like a win-a-box thing where it's like, okay, if you win, you get the choice between these different boxes. That would be an interesting thing. Like, obviously, if you did it for just, hey, whoever wins gets a box of AOT Volume 2. But if you presented the option of, you can pick, it had to be like the same price, as I realized at the same time. It couldn't be like, you'd probably want to try to have them all the same. Maybe if you did it for like EBs, that'd be a little cheaper too for entry. I don't know, because I know EBs are cheaper.
Other places like I've seen in Weiss, in like California, like their Weiss scene is huge, and they've had like win a console, like they had like win a 3DS or whatever.
Yeah, their Weiss scene's freaking huge as hell. Last like couple months of me selling stuff on TCG Player, like half of what I sell goes to California for some fucking reason.
Yeah, like it is definitely worth noting that everyone here on the podcast, you know, we don't come from the West Coast where the game is the biggest, you know. I think like I probably, you know, have the biggest silver spoon here being in the Northeast, but like even that is nothing compared to, you know, California with their like 40-man locals or whatever.
Exactly. Hell, we surprised our locals by having like 16 people one week. Like the dude actually came back there and was like, "We have so many people for this. I actually have to do assigned seating for this for Weiss. Why am I having to do this for Weiss?" He was just so surprised. It just hit, like, we didn't expect that many people to show up, but yeah, it's like, what? Like, most of the time it's just, hey, here's your pairings, go play wherever. But he actually had. But
yeah, I mean, like situations like that is what you want. You know, you want your Weiss community to get so big that the store actually notices, and that's, you know, that's how you get them to carry more product. Is like, you know, if your locals is like 4 people and it's you and your brother and your 2 cousins, like they're not gonna, you know, buy a whole bunch of product because they know that it's not gonna sell, you know. So the bigger that you can, you know, you as a player can grow your community, the more that it will grow naturally based on, you know, support from obviously more people, word of mouth, and also, you know, the store supporting you, the bigger that your community gets.
So it is a lot of, you want to do communication with your locals. You want to be able to, like, hey, is there, like, you have to like talk to the people who run your locals. I'm saying, like, we've already tried to do this for our locals as well, but we still do so. As far as anyone else who would want to try to do this, as far as try to get people into it, you do have to talk with your locals and try to be like, hey, is there a way we can use some kind of promotional thing for it? Can we plan an extra learn to play day or whatever type thing?
Yeah.
Like for ours, we go to Greenville for our locals, but there's another card shop in Raleigh, North Carolina that collaborates with the anime convention we have in Raleigh as well. And they do, like you said, for conventions is one of the easiest places for that, because they actually carry out those like big learn to play demos and actually hold a tournament there, which is really cool. So it's a lot of, you do need to, if you want to actively do it, you have to go up to your locals and be like, hey, we're interested in this. You got to let them know we are interested in this product. We are interested in trying to get more people into it and try to start something, as far as something to get people to want to do it. It's a lot of communication thing.
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, I think it's 99.9% on the player base, not on the tournament organizers. So, like, you know, you just have to go out there and try your best as a person to, you know, get as many people as you personally can into the game, and also, you know, advertise for your local shop as much as you can. Like, I'm sure, you know, we can do a little exercise and go around the room. Like, how did you guys learn about where you currently play your locals at?
Exactly. So whether that be through other people, like I know mine was actually through word of mouth for Yu-Gi-Oh at the time as well. So
okay.
Yeah. As far as like other people introducing and whatnot, it wasn't like an advertisement on TV by any means of the imagination either. Wow. So that would just be funny for me now.
I don't think any card game can claim that.
I don't think either. That'd just be crazy. Actually, no. Pokemon used to like do commercials for their cards. No lie. Like I do remember seeing like the new expansion packs and whatnot.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
Commercials.
Wait, Billy, you haven't seen those Weiss Schwarz commercials on YouTube with like the really bad like narrator?
Well, that was on the Pay 3 for Hanyo channel, right? I'm just kidding.
Damn.
I'm just kidding. Love you, Jimmy. No hate. I promise. That was on Joe Schmo channel. Anyway,
throwing shade.
Nah. Oh, that was bad. No, that was totally joking. No, or were we? You know, I'll never tell. Yeah, no, it's not something that just straight gets advertised. It usually is something like you said, through word of mouth or whatever. So
I mean, there's not even like Wizards has, the Wizards Play Network or whatever, where you can just like go on Google and be like, hey, what stores play Magic around me? But like you can't. There's a list, I think, on the English Weiss site of stores that run tournaments, but it's buried under like 4 or 5 pages, so like nobody's gonna find that on their own.
Yeah. Hell, there's no like tab for the errata page. You have to go like to the front page and then find the link for that when you scroll down. They don't actually have like a page for erratas. Like as far as like a link in the upper part of it.
Yeah, that's a whole different story.
Yeah, ain't that the damn truth. But yeah, okay. So like you said, like as far as Binley and Kev, how were y'all introduced to Weiss? How were y'all brought in?
I'll start. If it was my 2-3 years ago, I was just casually walking to it happened to be one of the local the days they ran it, so ran a tournament, and they were just I was just just watching as a just spectating. I think that's how it got me, and then and obviously the series that were out at the time influenced me.
Ooh, what series got you in?
Angel Beats.
Angel Beats.
Yeah. And then pretty much the thing that got me still in in the game is traveling for it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really in that commitment. For regionals.
I understand that because it's an hour drive to our locals for me every single week.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then 9 hours to drive down to Georgia for the regionals. So I understand. Yeah. Well, I can't complain because hell, Cam was planning a fucking flight from New York or something at that point. So
yeah, we don't talk about that. Fucking hurricanes, man.
I know. Just so not good at hockey, right? Oh, yeah. Sorry, wrong thing. Anyway,
compared to Yu-Gi-Oh, I've been to one regional. It's I did, and the community here is kind of half and half. So that played a big part too. It's our Weiss community is kind of down to earth, and they can help you out, and they're not meta whores or anything. So.
No, that's another good point because we don't have any regionals in North Carolina for Weiss, whereas I've probably been to 3 or 4 different cities for Yu-Gi-Oh regionals.
Yeah.
At that point, so damn. Okay. It's everywhere. Anyway. But yeah, you were saying Bentley.
Based on.
Oh. Say what? Oh, did Bentley die?
Oh, no. I didn't know what you were referring to.
Oh, no. I was where I had said, what got you into it? And then Kevin went into it. So
well.
I was did the Skype call die for him too? I didn't know what was going on there.
One day I woke up and God told me, I'm just kidding.
As the closet door swung open.
It was one of my friends that I went to middle school with, and him and I at the time were playing Yu-Gi-Oh and stuff, and then one day I saw him, he was playing Weiss with another one of my other friends, and then I didn't know I didn't know what the card game was, and my friend that got me into it, he has this really charming, he has a really outgoing personality, and he's oh, come on, you want to play this and stuff, and it's really fun, and just try it, and then he just kept on pestering me about it, and I'm oh, okay, so I bought a Persona 4 trial deck. Mm-hmm. And I won my first game, but I think he kind of went easy on me. But we had but the way we played it was open hand. Mm-hmm. So if I was stuck or confused or something, and he'd just tell me oh, this is what that does, and he wouldn't tell me exactly how I should do my turn though. So I think that's also a good way of learning. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, he doesn't play Weiss anymore because he's busy with other life obligations and stuff. Mm-hmm. But he also got me into other card games as well, First Will. Mm-hmm. And yeah.
It's just you're talking about. It's hey, you want to play. It sounds like you learned you were introduced by a drug dealer there for a second.
Honestly, I agree with Cammy on idea. It is up to you to introduce new players, and I think
Agreed.
Like branching yourself out there and like being more like sociable definitely will help your player base expand.
Mm-hmm. So it's a long trial and tribulation there. I don't know. Anywho, I did not realize how long we've already been recording for, but that's perfectly fine to me. I don't really care that much.
More content for the people.
Yeah, that's true. I know you'll just want to replay this over and over on loop, right? No.
Yeah, I just like listening to myself talk. That's why I talk so much.
Well, apparently I do, because I go back through every single podcast that we recorded and just listen to the whole thing again, like every single time, just to see if there's any notes I need to make, any pictures I need to post or whatever. So.
Oh, it's an editor's job.
Yeah, that's the fun part. So apparently I just like listening to myself talk. So that's what.
At least you're not like Enrique, and he like puts like all of our fucking podcasts on blast while he's like driving in the middle of the night. It's like so embarrassing.
It's so weird. Oh my god. No, it's all good. Hey, another secondary shout out. No, it's all good. So any other final thoughts before we try to attempt to wrap this up? Because there's a lot of stuff that can be done. I say a lot. There's only like a handful of things that can be done. What am I saying? But man, there's no like single way to be like you just sit somebody down in a chair, just random person off the street, like you're gonna play this game. No,
yeah,
that's
it's hard, right? Like we've been talking for an hour and a half about potential things that you can do, as a player to get your player base to grow and all that. But like when it comes down to it, you just have to like put the responsibility on yourself. See, find out what's best for you, whether it's you just playing the game with friends of yours, or if you're at your locals or whatever. Like I know, like I personally, when I got back into the game, I got two of my closest friends together, and I was like, hey, you should try this game, and now they go every week with me or whatever it was. So it's like you just have to find whatever is best or easiest or whatever works for you to try to build your player base. But just know that the responsibility is on you, it's not on anybody else. Just assume that you're running the tournament, even if you're not, and try to get as many people there as you can. Yeah, and I guess that's about it.
Insert picture of Bentley pointing at the screen like Abraham Lincoln not Abraham Lincoln. Anyway, Uncle Sam, like
Uncle Sam, I want you.
Like, we want you. Just like it comes on you. Just did that. Anyway.
Honestly, what I realized compared to like all the card games I played, like Weiss is like pretty chill and like people are more friendly, and like I've made the most friends out of like Weiss compared to like Yu-Gi-Oh or Magic. And like it's a card game where like I don't have to worry about like everyone just wants to like be competitive or compete that day, because like people are still down to do like casuals and like just like tests and stuff as well, compared to like other more like TCGs where I feel like the player base is more like competitive mindset or like very like cutthroat compared to Weiss. Whereas like, cause like I don't know, it's just like like I'd rather would hang out with people who like play Weiss than people who play other card games, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're like actually 1,000% correct. I don't know what it is.
Like not just like card games, just like even just like hanging out with them like as a person, like just talking about whatever. Like that's one thing I like about Weiss compared to.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, and I don't know why the community is the way it is. But like everyone that I've met, and now I'm gonna use a bit of a qualifier in real life, has been like just absolutely great and super positive people, and it's I found a play group that I just like really just love everybody who plays there. The internet is a bit of a different story. My biggest recommendation, if you're trying to get somebody in Weiss, make sure you get them into the game first before you invite them to any of the Facebook groups.
Right.
Because they're just generally not a great place. And I mean, even I can't say that my local playgroup is all that innocent. Looking at you, Jimmy. But
more shots fired.
I think that everyone that I've ever met, playing the game like at regionals and at locals and all that, have been just like absolutely lovely people. So I don't know what it is about big anime titties, but they bring people together.
Quote Cam 2017. But okay. Sorry. On that note, you got me cracking up now. Please, someone else continue.
I guess for the most part, I
Go ahead.
Sorry.
I'm calm now.
People pretty much paint a brush about this game, for the most part. Like people who are like, they come from other games, competitively, and sometimes it's reality, and the company isn't what you always. I mean, ideally you want or is, but as long as the player base in your locals isn't as, let's say, dependent on the vision of the company, then and the positivity is you can justify the I guess the reach of that you're trying to bring in. You know what I'm saying?
What I'm saying is one thing, because I've had better. This is sad to say. I've had better experience dealing with Bushiroad than I have with Konami from like Yu-Gi-Oh and whatnot. So
Konami's a fucking wreck, though.
Exactly. So, but as much as we shit talk Bushiroad, I prefer them over Konami, as some people call them. So I understand where you're coming from on that, as far as some people being dependent on like what the company's trying to do to promote their own stuff versus what the players are trying to do. No, that's understandable, and it's like, yeah, I can understand where you're coming from on that, because a lot of times, like, it does seem like a lot of the time Weiss is like the redheaded stepchild of the Bushiroad games.
Yeah, even Bushi, like, as far as Bushi games, even Bushi doesn't fucking like Weiss. Like,
that's what I'm saying. It's like,
we always get the shaft. Like last, what was it, spring season? They weren't even planning on having Weiss at the regionals, like, or all of the regionals. And then like people complained and they put him there. But like, Jesus.
So it's like,
give us some support.
I'm fairly certain they look at us at this point and go, how is this game still alive? How did Luck and Logic die, but this is still alive? It's
right.
Just, I don't know.
That's respectable.
That's not my opinion. That's what I feel is their opinion. But.
Yeah, but and then mechanically the game's fine. It's like there's not a like the vision that Bushiroad wanted is it was straight up casual. So
yeah,
I mean, I think like luck is a thing, but that's arbitrary and everything. Everything in what TCGs are, or and I guess we can it's pretty much up to our creativity and how we attract people.
Yeah, understandable.
So, yeah.
Sleepy Kevin is sleepy. No, I'm just messing with you, dude. It's all good, dude. Okay. And Bentley, did you have anything else you wanted to add in?
I
know Cam can keep talking for a day, but that's whatever.
I'm gonna be real, like.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm gonna be real, like. I've like. If you feel that, like, don't force yourself to like also like feel like you're doing a bad, like you feel like you like let down your community or stuff, or you feel like there hasn't been any change or whatever, because like some people are just don't feel passionate, or they just don't like they literally just can't like afford the time and effort to like play like Weiss. So
don't feel bad, like, but if they fail, it's your fault anyway. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
No.
Like I don't want to like toot my own, but I've like paid for like everyone's like tourney entries, and like we had like a lot of people in tournaments or like stuff like that, and like or cover people whenever when like they can't pay for tourney, just like so we can just have like people like play and stuff. But
like,
but
I did that for some people as well. One guy basically would ask me that every week. He's like, "Hey, you care if you cover my tournament entry?" And strangely enough, he stopped doing that after I stated, "Well, look, dude, I don't mind helping pay your entry, but I kind of want to get something out of it. If whatever pack you get, just let me grab one card from it. Doesn't matter what, like, just whatever it is, I'll just grab like a card from it." He stopped asking me to buy his entry from then on. That happened one time. All I did was I grabbed an uncommon. I didn't even grab he got like a SR out of it. I didn't even take that. I was like, "Oh, cool, you keep that, dude. I just want this uncommon right here." And he just refused. He has not asked me since. I just thought that was funny. Anyway,
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, but like I said, sometimes you just can't control everything, and if you have a play race and stuff that's it's good enough, then you can just roll with that. So it's just you don't want to get to from my own experience, you don't want to get to an environment to the point where it becomes hostile, and people don't want to go to your locals because of drama or whatever. So
yeah. So
stay off the internet.
Ain't that the name of it? Yeah, how to get people into Weiss. Don't invite them to various.
That's number one.
Yeah.
Don't join foreign. It's not a good place.
Foreign or global at this point. No. Anyway, with that, as far as being closing thoughts, let's see. Well, actually, Cam, any other closing thoughts from you, Cam? Because I'm basically gave them my closing thoughts already.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we basically went over everything that we want to say, but
yeah.
I made a joke about it earlier, but legitimately, as far as promoting goes, if you're in the Massachusetts area and you're looking to play Weiss, come down to Battleground Games in Norton, Mass. You can reach out to me on various social medias, and I will, hook you up.
Likewise, if we'll go ahead and. If
that's important. We should go around,
so
promote your locals,
Massachusetts for Cam. I'm in North Carolina, so anywhere between Raleigh to Greenville. Anybody for as far as most of those areas, hit me up, and I'll try to see what I can do for that, whether it's on Facebook or whatever. Bentley, you're in which area of Florida?
The Tampa Bay area. And Kevin.
My locals is actually in Norman, Oklahoma. So for you people in North Texas, Dallas Fort Worth, Arkansas, Tulsa, we've had turnouts based from your regional or region. So yeah, if you're in OKC or I don't know the region there, but Kansas. Yeah, anywhere in the Plains area. We have One Stop Anime in Norman, Oklahoma. And we have our own group page and all that. So, yeah.
I'll try to see how many other of those different Facebook groups or whatever between the Florida and whatnot. I'll try to see if I can post those in the description if y'all want to just go straight to there and y'all see everybody up there. All right, but so self-promoting aside, but at the same time, do please hit us up if anyone actually cares for that. But with that, we're gonna go ahead and sign off for now. Realize it's gone on a bit, but I don't care. It doesn't matter for me. But anyway, thank y'all very much for joining me today on this. I realize it's last second considering this is going up tomorrow, but yeah, I know, right?
Spicy.
I know, right? Them tight deadlines. But we could get into other discussions about that later. Anyway, but yeah, thank you, Bentley. Thank you, Cam and Kevin. It was much appreciated. And thank you to everyone who's listened up to this point. Subscribe if you want. If not, thanks for listening this long. Just us rant about Bushiroad and their shit. But we will see y'all on the flip side. Peace out for now.